Hello there. What is going on, everyone? We are back at it with a new day of Ministravaganza. We have so much to talk about. We have a live stream starting in about 25 minutes. AMG is going to be doing the roadmap for Star Wars Legion. This is going to be a big one because this is going to have Gungans. I don't know if you guys caught it. Gungans are basically confirmed. They were in the background artwork. They are in the new rule book. Gungans are coming in a very big way. And as much as I am terrified by these new rules and this whole new edition that they swear is not a new edition, by the way, that kind of pisses me off because it's every time they say it's not a new edition, it's like them telling you that they think that you're stupid. But regardless of that, the Gungans are very exciting to me. And I really, honestly, want to still enjoy Legion, so I'm going to give this new edition a try. It's, I've got a lot of thoughts. I'm going to have to do a whole video where I break it down. But I've been reading over it some more. I did get some things wrong yesterday. I misunderstood the way they explained cover during their live stream, because I was certain that somebody said red dice for heavy cover. And I may have just heard it wrong. Again, it's a whole lot of information they were dumping on us in real time. A lot of, I'm hearing it live just like you are, so I think it's very reasonable to get some things confused. We'll also do some more giveaways today. I'm gonna have to go through my bag of tricks. Oh, maybe some Armada giveaways today. We got some Armada promos that we can give away today. So we'll do that also. But they killed Gar. I don't know if they killed Gar. Range 2 for clone token sharing now. Now, I will be honest with you, I don't play super competitively. I have only run Yoda like twice for Gar. I don't try to follow the meta. Like, I don't even run Force Push. So Force Push is now 40 points. I don't care. To me, that's like, okay, also all Jedi are cheaper now. I mean, I've run Force Push a couple of times, but it's so, you know, people say it's stapled onto Force users. And I'm like, maybe only if you're playing like really competitively. I'd like to run other things. I'd rather not push you away. I'd rather kill you. I'd rather slice you down. For me, I want to take miniatures off the board. I want to be rolling dice and taking your minis off and you know, or die trying. And there's been plenty of times where I wish I would have brought Force Push instead. I'm not denying that it's an incredibly strong upgrade, but I think maybe that's one of the reasons why I don't take it, is because everybody says it's stapled to Force users, and I'm like, well, no, sure it's not, you know. So for me, this could be seen as a major buff. If I'm running a bunch of Force users, I could save a whole another, like 120 points if I'm running 3 different Force users. So, you know, somewhere around there. So it's really interesting. But what's going on, everybody in chat? We're going to talk... So, they said it's not a new edition. It's very much a new edition. We've got new missions. Now, to me, the missions are kind of all starting on your side of the board, or your side of the table. There's one that has a little bit in the corner, and then there's one that's a little bit where you're just starting in the respective corners. The game's only 5 turns long now, and this is all going to effect like today, which is really weird if you're running like a GTO this weekend. Somebody in my Discord said that they had a GTO this weekend, and so that's going to just be complete and total chaos with like people having already submitted lists. Like I think you kind of have to go by the old rules for something that's happening this weekend. But what about next weekend? You know, I'm supposed to be playing Legion next weekend. It's going to be very new. It's going to be a little bit chaotic. And that's actually kind of fine. It'll still be new and fresh. So I'm actually looking forward to that a little bit. Although I hate the idea of now I've got to... All my battle cards have to go in the trash. You know, then I've got to print out all these new cards and figure out how they work. And we have to print out this little score tracker board. You know, like I don't like the idea of playing a highly detailed miniatures game like Star Wars Legion and having to use paper bits. I had to do that when I was playtesting Legion, you know, years and years ago. I don't want to have to use paper bits for my games. Like, to me, that's terrible, you know. So, but it is what it is. That's what we're gonna have to do right now. I wish they would have given us more time so we could have arranged to have, you know, the new things kind of ordered and printed out and have nice components. I like playing with nice components. You know, glue them to cardstock. Yeah, I guess so. That's a whole. Then I have a whole arts and crafts project I have to get done before next weekend, and it's not like I also have a job and a YouTube channel to run and a family and a honeydew list and things that like I have to do. It's like, and I still have to build a list, and gosh, that's going to be a nightmare situation now. And by the way, how many core sizes are doubled now? You can just really, every core unit you can just double up. You can run 6 snipers. I mean, gosh, it's so much has changed with this game, but it's not a new edition. Of course it is. God, I really hope they. I don't know how many times today are they going to say it's not a new edition. It's just it's so insulting. It's such a slap in the face to like, oh okay, like they even said like it's your old components are not going to be invalidated, and I'm like, but then the first thing you do is say all your battle cards. Well, just go ahead and shred them, throw them in the trash. They're garbage. They're invalidated. It was all new cards that work totally differently. Yes, you can sleeve them, but that's what you're gonna have to do. You're gonna have to sleeve all that stuff. Very, very strange. Like a lot of the stuff I don't understand. I don't like the fact that every single objective and deployment, which are now the same card, are a area control objective now. That's what worries me. Now, granted, some of the objectives in Legion were area control, but they weren't all area control. And yeah, it's very weird. I don't know how it's gonna feel. I'm hoping that it still feels like Legion after playing it. I'm hoping that it still feels like there is incentive to I'm gonna aim and shoot, and try to take out your guys. But I'm afraid that shooting is gonna be like a secondary thing, kind of like it is in Shatterpoint. Like attacking and trying to put wounds on enemy models is kind of pointless when it's really all just about movement, Not a new Jazz Flute says bullshit. That's kind of funny. That's a new term. I haven't heard that before. That's really funny. But today they're going to give us the new rundown on all the new stuff that's coming out, or that they're planning. I think we're going to get closer looks at like crab droids and the aqua droids and the riot control troopers. By the way, all the new stuff that's coming out that we've seen previews of, like Bad Batch, for example, I think that comes out today. Was this release day? Like they still previewed. I wonder if they're gonna have like the new cards and the old cards. Like they've been, like for the art style. There's a really weird thing going on right now, where most of the cards got like new. Well, not most, but a lot of the cards. I'd say probably most of the cards in the game got like a new art style, and kind of like rebalanced and totally changed. But some didn't. Like Darth Vader didn't, and he's seen the most changes overall. He's like most in need for a new card. My guess is that he'll have his new card, and then they're going to do new core sets. That's what it seems like to me. But yeah, it's pretty wild. This massive amounts of changes. I've been talking a little bit about like Warhammer and similar games. I feel like they made Legion so much more like Warhammer, with like much larger units, 1,000 points. Warhammer games are typically are in the 1,000-point intervals. Cover is now an extra save, like a ward save or an extra save that you can roll. So you're basically rolling to defend your units twice after every shot. Which is a lot more like GW, like those games. It's very interesting to me that they've gone and made this like 3 steps closer to Warhammer, with all the stuff that we're looking at. So yeah, Star Wars 40K, kinda interesting to me. Not necessarily a bad thing. But it's so much, and I know a lot of people are going to see this and say, "Wow, Crabbok is so angry at AMG." Like the only thing I'm really angry at is, well, there's 2 things. One, them bold-faced looking us straight in the camera saying this is not a new edition, and then proceeding to turn the whole game upside down, and basically lying to our faces. Like, there's so many lies. And I was going to ask Will Schick about new editions when he was on my thing, and it was one of those questions that got cut for time. And I regret that more than anything, because I would have loved to have his take on what constitutes a new edition. Because I'm honestly very curious of that. If this isn't a new edition, then nothing is a new edition, apparently, unless you're just making it a whole nother game. Like if you were to make Star Wars Legion 2nd edition, and it's now a game about Star Trek, or something like that, or it's now a dinosaur game, dinosaurs in space, flying with hand gliders, you know, and Nerf guns. And you have to sing while you play it, and it's a musical. Like, maybe that would constitute a new edition, maybe. Or would that just be a refresh? I don't know. So that's the one thing I'm really upset about them. And then the other thing that's more annoying than an angry thing is the timing. Like, for them to drop this massive thing and just to say, oh, these rules go into effect tomorrow. And I'm like, well, what people, you know, because people are playing tournaments right now, and they don't have enough time to absorb the rules and learn how to conduct their events under the new rules. So that's really frustrating. And for me, if I were playing in a tournament this weekend, I would be really screwed because I don't like to build my lists until the night before. That's just how I operate. I get a moment of inspiration the night before a tournament, and then I always go back and change. And all the list builders are now getting updated with all the new stuff, so I wouldn't even be able to do that. So, yeah. Did you know certain cards are now banned or removed from Legion? Yes, I did. There's a not huge, but there's a significant ban list of cards that are now gone. One of the cards I was most looking forward to running now, in the absence of Force Push, was Force Lift, which is now banned. I can no longer move barricades around. And the thing that I loved about Force Lift, the thing I loved most about that card, is that card I had a little bit of ownership of, because during all my years of playtesting for Legion, that was a card that I pushed for to get into the game. And when it finally got into the game, I felt like it had just a little bit of my fingerprint on it. And so I was not just mine. I was definitely pushing for more stuff like that. But that was that one stinks, especially with heavy cover now being such an important thing. Yeah, I mean, heavy cover has always been important. So I mean, it doesn't change too much. But yeah, I definitely got a few things wrong. Myths, rando stuff. I definitely did. So, you know, it's okay. It happens when we're looking at stuff right away. Did I play test for Lead? I did for a long time. Not under AMG. I did for a very, very long time. I was up until before the game came out, as I started play testing. Although I wasn't in the initial rules book because I joined after they had already collected names for the first wave. But we were still playtesting it, and I playtested up until the Clone Wars core set came out. I think I'm in that and its first wave, and maybe a little bit of its second wave. Although I don't know yeah. So yeah, so I did a lot of waves. I think that's like 6 or 7 waves of Star Wars Legion I playtested for, and then it got to be just too much, and I had to kind of bow out. And then not long after that, it went over to AMG. So. And from what I gather, I would not have been accepted as a playtester over there. Apparently, they only want playtesters that don't give them any critical feedback. If you don't like an idea of theirs and you happen to say, hey, I think this is a bad idea, you'll be removed from playtesting, is what I've been told. So, which is very interesting. We are going to do some giveaways, though. I got some Armada cards I'm going to give away today. So we've got... let's see. All right, we got these two. We're gonna throw these up on stream. We've got an Armada engineering captain. What? And we have a we got one of these. This is a gosh, that's a foreign language one. Hold on a second. We'll do that one later. We got 2 engineering captains. I'll give them both away because I'm pretty sure we're gonna hit 200 viewers. We're almost there. So just give me a hashtag engineering captain, and we'll toss one of these up. We might do some more after the stream as well. I try to do some there's also giveaways going on in Discord right now, so you guys can join our Discord. If you're not already in there, jump in there. The links are in the video description below. And also giveaways are happening on Patreon. And also in the latest Battle Foam video. If you guys are looking for Battle Foam, we have a discount code for Battle Foam. You can use our discount code and save 10% if you're looking to purchase any stuff to take your games to tournaments. That's in my last Battle Foam video. It's not actually in the description for this one because I wasn't prepared. Like, this isn't a sponsored Battle Foam video or anything like that, but I did a couple of sponsored Battle Foam videos, and very cool stuff. I really, really like Battle Foam. So usually when I have like sponsors like that, it's products that I actually really like, and it's not just like, oh, look at this new puffy ramen soup, you know, and like, although I do like ramen noodles, so if any ramen noodle companies want to sponsor me, let me out. But I usually turn down like 99% of sponsors that contact me because I'm just usually not that interested. But when it's a company that I really like, It's a pleasure to be able to work together with them. And sometimes sometimes they'll just send products over, or sometimes it's like a paid bit where I'll do a little bit more, and so those things happen, but it's few and far between. I only do like one or two of those a year. It's not very many, but wouldn't mind doing more. But the problem is there's not that many people that I really want to work with. There's certain ones, And then there's every once in a while there's like a weird crossover that I want to happen. All right, let's get to some of your guys' questions and look at folks in the chat here. We got a lot of casual stuff going on here. Casual stuff. I'm reading a lot of stuff going on in the chat here. Garrett says, as a casual gamer group, we will not be using this new edition on our tables. Between a couple of other games, you have plenty to play. All right, that's cool. I hope you already have the rules saved, though, and I hope you have some kind of list builder option, because I don't know how you're going to build a list anymore, because the points on the cards weren't right. Like the cards themselves have always been wrong, but now that they're changing all this other stuff, I mean, maybe you could just use the cards. I guess what you could do is still use the same list building and just use the old objectives. You could use that old system to probably play. I feel like that could be fun. I like playing Legion as a deathmatch, and have the objectives be secondary. That's probably why I lose a lot of my games, because I'm like I could go for that objective now, or I could aim and shoot. Oh, okay, let's aim and shoot. Let's do that. We hit 200 viewers. What's going on, everybody? Wow, very cool stuff. We have about 7 minutes until AMG kicks off their Legion roadmap, their first stream of the day. It's day 2 of Ministravaganza. And it has been pretty wild so far. Now, we are going to be doing another stream later tonight. It is going to be the Star Wars Shatterpoint War Table Key Operations. This is going to be an interesting one for Shatterpoint. They're going to be making similar changes to Shatterpoint as far as ways to play, and they're going to talk about that. I'm really interested in that, because as much as they've just made Star Wars Legion more similar to Shatterpoint by making all of the missions and objectives area control, I wonder what they're going to change to Shatterpoint. Because if their goal was to make these two games more separate, while they may have done part of that by saying, oh, well, you can double your stormtroopers now, or you can run 112 B1s, or some ridiculous... Again, that's annoying to me when they say it's not a new edition. It's not going to invalidate your stuff. You're not going to have to go buy new stuff. I'm like, okay, but then you turn around and say I can run 112 B1s. Like, come on, man. We're not stupid. Stop pretending like your audience is stupid. Oh, it's not a new edition? Okay. I guess I'll just keep using my same old core set materials. Oh, yeah, by the way, every single card in that core set is invalid. Now, I don't think there is a single, and this is actually a pretty good challenge for you guys at home. If you still have a core set, and I may want to go through because all of my cards are intermingled, but is there a single card from the core set that is still valid today? And I'm talking like keywords, points, like, is any card from the core set still accurate? I don't know. Bark Speeder? Speeder bikes are unchanged, but their points have... Okay, so the speeder bikes are largely... But their points have still been adjusted, so the points that are printed on that cord set still aren't accurate. But that's probably about as close as we'll get. Droidicas is a good one. I heard that... Now, points change is unfair. That is unfair. It's a little bit, but it's... And the reason I say that, though, is for those kitchens, because sometimes when you're talking to new players, and this has happened to me a lot, like when we talk to people who are familiar with Legion, we talk to people who are familiar with competitive play and the meta for Legion, we can sometimes lose sight of concerns that casual, like kitchen table players have. And when I have been teaching these games at conventions, I remember one time at Star Wars Celebration, Star Wars Celebration is a great place to teach, because you're teaching folks who are just Star Wars fans, but not necessarily gamers at all. They may not have a single board game or tabletop game in their house. And they walk up and they're like, whoa, what is this? And so the types of questions you'll get from these people are very different. The types of concerns, and so they're like, oh, so people like that, non-gamers will be very concerned of like, well, but the points aren't accurate, And I know that at least Luke Eddy and Alex Davey, when they were talking about points changes to cards, they had one time said, well, the printed points cost gives you like a starting point, and those are still good enough for kitchen table play. And I like that approach. And that's what I'll usually will tell people. It's like, you can still use these points, but if you want to play in a tournament, then you're going to have to reference that there's going to be, updated points for a lot of this stuff. But yeah, Jazz Flute says he likes teaching people how to Dougie. The AI rules, so the AI rules is one of those ones that I have to look into a little bit more. It sounds like they really decrease the penalties with AI so that you don't really have to suffer the same level of penalty anymore if you didn't get an order token. So I believe it's if you got. If your commander has AI and they're close enough to you, then you get to ignore that penalty or something like that. I have to read over that again, and I'm sorry for not being up to speed on that particular rule. But there's been so many to read over, and since I don't play droids very much, that wasn't very high up on my list. But that is definitely on my list. I'm making a list and checking it twice, so I'm gonna find out if this is a new edition or not. So that's how it goes. But Gungans are going to get announced today. I'm curious what else is going to get announced. Let me know some of your predictions in the chat. Again, I'm not being super negative. It may sound like I'm being super negative about this. My overall approach to this new rules system is I'm going to try it out. And I really am rooting for it to be fun. My approach to the game is a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more dice throwing. I want to charge in and shoot and jump in there and swing lightsabers and stuff. And I want to take your models out. I want to try to table you if I can. It's hard to do that usually, but I want to try. And I'm afraid that it might not be that way. With effectively only 4 turns of gameplay, it's going to be really hard to table somebody. But also, all the objectives are just like, oh, well, just hold this point. Just turtle up and you'll win. And that's what I'm afraid of. I hope it doesn't actually feel like that. It may largely depend on terrain and table placement. It may. Yeah, and maybe some custom objectives. Yeah, I know, but it's one of the reasons I don't like homebrew. It's like, well, that's great for maybe kitchen table play, but what if I wanted to go to a tournament? I'm already working on like a homebrew version of rules for Shatterpoint to make that, more enjoying to me. But that's the only reason I even consider that is because I have no intention of ever going to a Shatterpoint tournament. But I go to Legion tournaments once in a while. I go to Armada tournaments. I've even gone to X-Wing tournaments quite a bit in my younger days. But so I want to be playing on the same page of music that everybody else is. I want to be on the same sheet of music. I want to be on the same page. I want to be on the same granite slab that everybody else is. I want to be playing the same edition as everybody else. Oh gosh, it's so corny. It's so corny. They're going to be starting any second now. So yeah, they are just about ready. Let's see. I'm going to swap over real quick. Okay, they're ready to start soon. We're going to swap over as soon as they do. We're going to swap over very, very soon. It's going to be an exciting thing. Again, drop your predictions. We're going to and again, once it's over, you can watch on their Twitch channel. You can watch right along with me or both, whatever. However, if you're watching over there, do not say the word X-Wing or Armada. You may very well get suspended or banned. It happened to me yesterday. Accidentally. I wasn't even trying to troll. I was, making a silly little joke that was on topic. It was Shatterpoint related, but yeah, they're not messing around. But over here in my chat, you can totally mention it. You can mention whatever you want. Just be nice. And if somebody has a different opinion than you, don't crap all over them. Be respectful to one another. What if we were all sitting at the same table playing a game together? You'd be nice to people.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to day 2 of Ministravaganza, the 7th of its kind. If you were here yesterday, yeah, it's the 7th of its kind.
And there's 7 day 2s as well.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
They've all been 3 days. So thank you so much for joining us. Today we are excited to kick things off on day 2 with the Legion roadmap. So for those who are unaware of what the roadmap means, if this is the first time joining us, this is something we do twice a year. Typically we do one roadmap at Adepticon in March, and then we do one roadmap at Ministravaganza. The roadmaps cover the next 12 months approximately of releases. We're going to show off cards and rules for things that are completed and coming to you soon. We're going to show off painted miniatures for things that have been finalized in Sculpt, and to give you a look at those. And then, of course, we're going to look further ahead into the future, and we're going to look at some currently in process or completed sculpts that haven't been manufactured yet and ready for painting. And that's kind of how we roll the whole thing forward. Specifically with the Legion roadmap, though, because if you were with us yesterday, and I hope you were, we did the new Battle Orders War Table panel where we revealed that there were some massive updates to Star Wars Legion, including a new battle deck, a new rebalance and updated cards, new additions to the core rules, all of those things. All done to effectively bring Legion into a place where we feel it will continue to grow and perform and be exciting and bring in new people and grow the community and all that good stuff for the next 5 to 10 years. This is kind of the process that we've been doing overall since taking over stewardship of the game. It is the natural evolution. We kind of started with making the full core rule set, if everyone remembers that, or if you were around at that time, where we took the Learn to Play and the errata documents, we put them into a standardized core rule. We did have some updates there as well. Of course, points updates have always been part of the game. Errata and balance passes have happened from time to time for certain units and things. This is definitely a very major one and takes a lot of changes and does it all at once because holistically we felt like this was going to put the game on the best foot going forward. And importantly to note, this is just part 1. Part 2, which will kind of complete over the course of the year, is going to include, people have asked, fully printed update card packs for factions. So all of the cards for each faction are going to be available in these card packs. They're going to release around this time next year. And those, of course, are going to allow you to immediately bring your collections in. We're also going to be introducing upgrade card packs in a different way. So folks have noticed that upgrade cards, like especially the generic ones, have started to move out of the packs. This is so that players have better opportunities to be able to pick them up. We don't want to be putting cards into a box that a player may not need. So there's a whole new product kind of cycle and the way in looking at how players are going to be able to interact and dive into these games. That's all going to be coming out. So for right now, you have the print and play documents that you're able to print out and play. When those card packs come out, as we're going to talk about coming the roadmap in 2025 at Adepticon, there are going to be additional units that are going to see rebalances and readjustments, but we felt like the overwhelming nature of just this alone, from a development standpoint and from a player standpoint, we split it into the things that we absolutely wanted to get out first, and then there's going to be the follow-up where the remainder, which is definitely not everything is going to change, but there are a certain portion of the things that haven't had the new update cards in those print and play documents that will get adjusted, some of the characters, some of the units, and some other things. But for right now, that's kind of how we've broken up the system because it is a massive update and rebalance to bring everything back together and to move it all into the multilingual. The last thing I'm going to say before we dive into stuff, and we'll get to introducing these fine fellows as well, is that you're going to notice as we go through the slides, there are going to be 2 different SKU codes. There's SWL and there's SWQ. SWL effectively are the end of the non-multilingual products. So if you see an SWL number, that means that it is going to be in a single language only, and it's going to have the original or the older design style for the cards and things like that. SWQ is the marker for the brand new multilinguals. So this is important so that our distribution units and retailers and you all know, am I getting a single language product? Am I getting a multilingual product? It helps us manage all of the stock. So you're going to see that as we move into all of the future looking stuff, they're going to have an SWQ number. All it means is that that product is going to be in the new design style and it's going to be multilingual. So it's going to include language cards for English, Spanish, French, and German. And with that, that's 4.
No, it's good.
And just keep counting.
Did we miss
No,
it?
I don't like
All the
it.
points.
Well, we missed a lot of languages, but those are the 4 languages that we're going to have in the package
That's
for the
fair.
time.
That's fair.
Hopefully, and maybe in the future, we'll be able to add more, but that'll depend on the global communities and where we see the game go and how it grows. Okay, so let me introduce my fellow panelists here. Of course, I'm Will Schick.
Kevin Kirkus.
Andrew Durson. Will Pagani.
Woo! All right. And everyone here has a very intricate hand in the overall development and design of Legion. We're talking about a lot of the different things and aspects as we go into this stuff and look at all of the stuff that's going on. So let's go ahead and jump into our first section, which is going to be card reveals and some rules and stuff for the things that we showed off at Adepticon. These items are going to be coming at you later this year, so kind of close to the end of the year. And we have the Rebel Sleeper Cell first. I don't know why Tony's waiting for me. Like I already said, let's look at the cards, but he's sleeping on the job. Drink the coffee, Tony. Drink the coffee, please. Thank you. All right, so the Rebel Sleeper Cell unit. Kevin, go ahead and talk to us a little bit about some of the cool things that players are going to see when they open up this unit, start assembling it, start painting it.
Yeah, sure. One of the cool things about this unit is that the heads are all interchangeable on these guys, which I think is pretty great because you got the aliens and the humans going on, and a lot of times with the way necks get keyed, it's just easier, especially with the weird sort of the Leku, the Montrails, those sorts of things. It's typically easier to make it monopose, right? And then to be able to get the head swappable was a really cool thing. And in addition to that, I really want to point out Alex, who engineered these, did a really great job with the trench coats. We all love hard plastic here. One of the limitations, though, is that complex curves, especially like the sort of the folding drapery, the fabric. Those things, they have pretty hard limitations in hard plastic, right? And he did a great job, I think, of both sculpting and then engineering these to be producible and look great on the finished kit.
And not be a million parts, I think.
Oh, yeah.
That's the important thing.
Like,
Yeah, so
and there's a cat.
And there is a cat.
as far as the design
Tuca, sir.
of this unit,
My mistake.
this was one of the last units to go through the development process with the kind of old graphic design and styling. So these will have kind of the older style upgrades and unit cards. With this unit, we really wanted to capture the feeling of, you've got the normal, rebel military, as much as like an organized military as they have, but really wanted to highlight, kind of the irregulars or guerrilla fighters where, maybe it's just like a local, cell of rebels that, they don't have really any official training or organization. They're just kind of fighting with, whatever they've managed to cobble together or steal. So we really wanted to kind of capture that, aspect of like guerrilla warfare, right? So, they've got nimble and scout to kind of get up the battlefield, and tactical to kind of represent that, strike from the shadows way of fighting, because they can't really, last against the Empire in a stand-up fight, right? They got to strike hard, strike fast, and run away. They've got det packs to give them, a short-range anti-vehicle option, and their blaster pistols, which they have the option of using them in melee or at ranged. They get a little bonus of suppressive when they use them in melee. So just really trying to like capture, that feel of, like maybe an Andor, in that scene where the insurgents just kind of strike out of nowhere, and there's just chaos and pandemonium.
And I feel like they're using weapons that are like, they're non-standard, right? So like
Right.
the whole unit isn't equipped with the same thing. The det
Yeah.
packs are like mining charges or something, right? This is things that they have access to in their community, not necessarily high-grade equipment or anything like that.
Yeah, and I like that, on the sculpts, right? The miniatures have, a variety of different pistols. The marksman has a stolen T-21 over there. So really, like kind of captures that feel of, they're just making do with whatever they have.
Ragtag crew.
And I do really want to point out, just to be clear, right? You mentioned that this, of course, was done under the old styling graphic design. The rules, however, were definitely play tested,
Correct.
and they are perfectly tied into
Correct,
what we
yeah.
were doing with the updates to missions and the core game and everything. So it's unlikely that you're going to see any changes to this unit, although they will be included in those card packs that we're talking about, so you can get it in the new styling if that's something that is important to you. But everything we're going to look at rules-wise was all play tested under the brand new updates that were just released the other day. So don't think that suddenly you're going to look at this unit and then in a year it's going to do something radically different.
Right.
What you see on these things is exactly what we wanted based on the changes that we knew we were making to the game. Moving on to their counterpart, which is the Riot Control Squad. So if the Sleeper Cell are the civilians deciding to rise up against the Imperial aggression and oppression, the Riot Control Squad are there to make sure that that oppression stays in place.
Freedom, I think.
Kevin,
Yeah, I mean,
I think Law and Order.
Law and order,
Yeah,
yes.
exactly.
Depending on your point of view.
from a certain point of view.
So Kevin, go ahead and walk us through some of this. Were you the one who sculpted this? You typically handle all the troopers.
So typically, yes, this was a rare exception. Evan Kang did these.
Okay.
What I really like about this unit is obviously Star Wars Legion, sci-fi game. Stormtroopers typically associated with the E11, right? However, here we get a chance to do a melee unit. You get to give them the batons, the shields, and you get to do those poses, right? Like this this is the frontline troops that are actually holding their shields up and holding back the enemy forces. And it's just opposing that we don't get to do a lot in this particular game line. It was really fun to explore that.
And you also got to pull a bunch of different elements from media, because obviously we've never actually seen an official canon representation of what this unit kind of is. We've seen the stun batons be used, we've seen riot shields be used, obviously we've seen stormtroopers and KX droids, but kind of the amalgamation of everything together to say, with LFL, we talked a lot about, you know, we want to do this type of unit. What originally we were talking about scout troopers, because you see that in the Fallen Order games, they use those. But LFL felt that that didn't quite fit with their vibes and what they wanted, so we moved to stormtroopers. It was a very interesting process that led to this, which I think also was kind of fun, and then led to some interesting rules designs like the double KX series droids being the heavy and things like that. But I'll let our dev friends talk about that.
Yeah, so as we were saying, this is the unit that, you know, they just want to ensure that, you know, everything is safe and orderly for Imperial citizens everywhere. And we approached this unit as we wanted to say, okay, you know, what's kind of an area that we haven't explored, especially for a core unit in Empire, and that's like, well, okay, we can do some sort of, you know, melee unit, but these guys are not particularly lethal in melee. I mean, sure, you know, they've got the black die with suppressive, but they're not necessarily going to go, you know, beat up Luke Skywalker in melee, right? But with that hold the line, they are very durable, so they're very good at getting in there, kind of tar pinning maybe other units, holding them down. Going towards objectives. It is very notable to note that this unit does not have a squad upgrade. So you cannot take 10 of these. The max unit size is 7 miniatures if you take the marksman and the 2 KX droids. But yeah, we just really wanted to look at, like, okay, what does an Empire core unit look like where the focus is not on the E11s and is more towards sort of like a melee linebacker, you know, tar pit role. And it was really fun to do.
Let's talk a little bit about Hold the Line and how it interacts with the E11 blaster rifle and like kind of the design decisions behind that.
Yeah, so obviously it doesn't really, the E11 in this aspect for them kind of gives them an option, right? Of like, okay, I can, you know, if I don't want to double move for whatever reason, because I don't want to be in the open, it gives me an option to kind of put out chip damage at range. And then if I have that opportunity to, you know, double move to get the charge off, then I get my surge to block, and I'm in there with my shields.
And you get your surge to hit in close combat, right?
Yeah, and you get the surge to hit as well.
To help them out in close combat a little bit, but because of how the rules work, if you gave them surge to hit, now they would just be essentially identical to normal stormtroopers with their guns.
Right.
Which is not something that we wanted, right? We wanted that differentiation between the two units of one of them is definitely a range fighter. These guys, whereas they have a ranged attack, they are certainly not a ranged unit.
Right, we definitely wanted it to be more of an option and like a tool in your toolbox, and not, this is like every other stormtrooper unit that is about doing things with aim tokens and shooting and precise and targeting scopes and things like that. So that was a kind of interesting way of like, all right, we can have what we want of the ranged attack being an option, but the focus still be on melee and not inadvertently, you know, buffing the range attack to beyond what we wanted.
And if you really wanted to lean into the close combat option, you have the KX droids, which also bring
You have a training slot too.
Yep.
My favorite playtest moment with these guys was when the unit went up against the X-33 land speeder for the Rebels, and the KX droids just annihilated it. That was so cool. I was like, I could just see them being like, stop resisting, stop, as they're like ripping off the engines and stuff. It was a great little narrative moment that made me really enjoy the unit, actually.
Yeah. We have a lot of fun running with Callus too, just for that extra flavor. So.
Yeah, they definitely thematically pair really well with what you would expect a Callus to be doing. Yeah. All right, so moving on from this unit, we have, we talked a lot about this, and you're going to see more and more of this as more card reveals happen in the future. But one of the big things with the update, it wasn't just rules, it wasn't just everything else, but it was also all of the art, like 95% of it. So this is another brand new piece of art that our amazing art director Preston Stone did, and it kind of encapsulates a bunch of the units that are becoming next, including the crab droids, which you showed off, the Aqua droids, and the new ARF Trooper unit for clones. Just an incredible little scenic piece, and we've put it all over the office on banners and stuff. I expect that you'll see it if you come visit us at any of the conventions as well. I wouldn't be surprised to see it as a little wall mount piece. But let's go ahead and jump into the crab droids, which we have cards for. And I'm not gonna bother Kevin because he was like, they're just crabs. We just sculpted them. It's fine. We did a rehearsal, and he had nothing specific that he wanted to say outside of the fact that he thinks they're cool.
What it is that they speak for themselves.
Through pinching.
Correct.
Through pinching,
Yeah.
And undermounted turbo lasers.
So we're just gonna jump straight over to our dev friends here to talk a little bit about their design and other neat things about their kit.
Sure. So the Crab Droids are a support unit for the Separatists. So do remember now with the update to the rules that vehicles do score on objectives. So these two droids, they act as a light vehicle that kind of trailblaze up the battlefield. They've got Scouting Party 1 and Scout to get them a little bit further up. They've got the Armor 2. They're really kind of similar to the kind of a different flavor of the Dwarf Spider Droid. That is more kind of aggressive rather than, hanging back and being a gun platform.
You're talking a little bit, if you were with us, about the new battle orders, right? You can probably start to see where these slot into different primary missions, whereas the Dwarf Spider Droid wants to slot in like that bunker mission and things like that. This unit is more interested in the ones where you're going to push forward, like Breakthrough and other types.
Yeah, you've got a respectable melee attack with your Crab Claws, with impact to your Pierce 1. And then you also have the option, if you so want, to take an underslung weapon of the anti-tank variety or more the anti-infantry variety, to just give you an option.
Yeah, it's a very versatile unit that also applies support options to the army, right? Scout and Scouting Party are incredibly powerful with the new Turn 1 deployment stuff. And these guys have excellent eyebrows. They're just straight up. It's not even their eyes, but in my brain, they're their eyes.
I mean, that's probably how they sense a lot of stuff. Is those little eye stalk antennae.
Eye stalk antennae.
Yeah. It's important. It's important. I love the idea that Scouting Party is like people riding on them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they come. The product has 2 of them in there. They're units of 1, so you get 2 units in the product.
Of course, you'll also note, as we discussed at the front end, if you missed it, this is an SWQ number. You see that it's in the new card design, so of course, this is going to be a multilingual product. Unlike the previous 2, which were SWLs, again, all of these were tested under the new updates, so it's not like anything's going to drastically change from what we're looking at. In fact, I expect no changes at all to any of these units as we move forward to those card packs next year.
One of the things, real quick, that I really like about these upgrade cards, and is by moving to the LCG size. Obviously, there isn't rules text on this one, but it does give us a lot more room to have, if we have an upgrade card that has a weapon and a bunch of rules text on it, now we have the space to do that, because with the smaller cards, oftentimes we were like, okay, how do we fit everything we want to fit on here, especially if there's things like a weapon and a bunch of keywords.
Well, and you also had to, because even though we're moving into a multilingual where all the languages are in the box, you still also had to account for the other languages.
Especially German
being one that has very long words and text and spellings and stuff. So you're not just limited by the English length, character length. You're also limited by the other language lengths, and so that often led to situations where the rule had to be the rule, and then those cards would wind up with very small text. Right? They would go to 6, 5, 4-point font to the point it's like I have to get a magnifying glass out. And the larger cards obviously allows for a lot more freedom and flexibility for different languages and their character lengths and things like that as well. It's just very critical to the overall health and success of the game to make sure that everyone can play it ideally in their home language.
Without a magnifying glass.
I mean, I'm a glasses guy, so like honestly, just more
literally attached to yourself.
All times. If they're not, then I'm not getting anywhere, right? I'm blind.
Help.
All right, so let's move on to some painted miniatures. This is going to be showing off some of the sculpts that we revealed at Adepticon in March. So we're going to show you the final versions of these units. First up, the Aqua Droids. These are an office favorite. Everyone loves them. They're super huge. Kevin?
They're super huge. So I originally thought that these were just B2s but underwater.
Oh, same.
And then you look at you go to your LFL reference, you look at their stats, and you're just like, this is very large.
Yeah, I remember.
I guess I'll make this.
I remember originally these were supposed to be like small base trooper units, and I went to Dallas because he had a prototype for one, And I was like, yeah, they're supposed to be on the small base trooper unit bases. And he just laughed at me and then showed me one. And that obviously was not going to work.
Yeah.
Which then required a redesign.
Yeah, I mean, it
Definitely did.
Definitely changed kind of the initial design discussions we'd had. Although I don't think we'd put much on paper. It
No,
was
not a
just
whole
they
lot.
were going to be this
Just
thing.
that was the concept.
But it did allow them. I think it worked out. Well,
Yeah.
one, we got amazing miniatures, but two, they wound up in a really interesting slot because they're in the heavy slot now.
They are in the heavy slot. Yeah.
So I think, you know.
And they are ground vehicles. Yeah.
Yeah, similar to, it's kind of similar to, you know, moving Dark Troopers into the heavy slot, or kind of the things we've talked about with the supports from the commandos and the like, right? Filling out these different options with unique things. When you see this unit on the table and you watch them like canter forward on their notch-based movement, they feel sufficiently heavy and powerful. And so well, it wasn't what we intended. I think LFL knew what they were doing, and it all worked out to our favor, even if we didn't know it at the time.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, right? Because you've got the Dark Troopers that are actually a trooper unit, right? And they were the first, I believe, unit in the game to be in the heavy rank and have multiple miniatures in the unit. So now you've kind of got that again, right? Where you've got a vehicle unit that has, you know, 3, maybe 4 miniatures in it in that rank slot, which is interesting.
And I also think it was fun to pair these against like droidicas, right? Which fill the support slot, but are similar in the fact that they're kind of troopers, but they're not, with the movement and everything, and to make sure that both of those had reasons to be within the game, and they fill different roles, kind of like we talked about Crab Droid to Dwarf Spider, especially with the new mission types. So I'm looking forward to showing off rules for these. I think the rules will be out actually before we get to the next roadmap. So exciting stuff for the marketing team to be able to drop on people. And speaking of exciting stuff, let's move to the next one, which is the ARF Trooper unit, which, as we announced at Adepticon, does include the very first generic Jedi, which is a leader upgrade now, right? Did I get that
Squad
right?
leader upgrade, yeah.
Which can be attached to either ARF Troopers or ARC Troopers. Kevin, I know you had some saucy bit of information you wanted to drop about that Jedi.
Yeah, the Jedi has multiple lightsaber options, which is a big fun thing for me to get to do. So he's got the single blade, the Force gesture, I'll call it. Or you can have 2 single lightsabers or a double-bladed lightsaber.
So a bit of flexibility and customization there in case you want to, run a few of them on your different Special Forces units. Yeah. But the ARC Troopers, this is one of my favorite clone designs. And the helmets have existed on a couple of the different, like the ATRT, I think, had a ARF Trooper option.
Rex and Boyle have an option for it, yeah.
Rex and Boyle, we put ARF Trooper options on for them as well. And then I believe the ISP also has ARF Trooper helmets as an option. We've not seen the full unit, so it was really fun to be able to get into the full unit. And I think one of the cool things about, if you've been through the cards on Monday, we talked about the ARC Troopers and how the ARC Troopers have changed into this more close assault-oriented force that gets in your face and blasts you. The ARF Troopers play the other side of that now because they have the DC-15 blaster rifles and all that. So if you want to talk a little bit, not any like specific rules, you want to talk a little bit about some of the fun design stuff. You can spoiler a little bit.
Yeah,
a tiny amount.
So they're the kind of the opposite of ARC Troopers. This unit is more about providing long-range support, right? As you said, through their long-range blast rifles and the heavy with the RP6 rocket launcher. And then that Jedi kind of gives them an option, where if they have to advance, gives some extra close combat melee support. So, while keeping some of the flavor of, they'd have some keywords you'd expect on a unit that's about, sneak in, doing recon.
They're not walking on the battlefield on turn 1. They're already there.
Yeah.
They're very well entrenched and forward line. Like they've been there for.
They're
a while.
in the trees.
Yeah, they've been there for a while. So I personally am really excited. They might be.
Might be.
You don't know.
You don't know what's under that helmet.
Helmets on.
You did the armor for these, right? So
I did.
You would know.
Yeah.
Are there Ewoks under that armor?
No.
You didn't talk about your favorite little trash can thing either.
Oh, my trash can thing. Yeah. Well, listen, as I often am, I was in a big Obi-Wan phase. And so I was watching the series and grabbing my environmental tactical elements from that show, right? Particularly the Undercity scenes when they're first trying to learn how to get off that planet. And I really loved that. I don't know if it was a fire hydrant. I don't know if it was a repurposed power coupling, and I don't care because I thought it was an amazing shape. And so an ARF trooper needed to stand on it.
And actually, you're talking about the one because they can't see us pointing.
Yeah,
at
the
screen,
top
obviously.
left fella there.
Yeah.
You even got like a little fallen aura brush sign. I know you mentioned in rehearsal that you were kind of envisioning these base elements as they can be in the wilderness,
Yeah, it's
but
like,
more city.
Right, like you could be on the outskirts or potentially you're city fighting, which is a cool thing you don't get to see too often.
All right, so let's move on. Obviously, we've been talking about this since last Ministrav. The entire plan in place that probably makes a bit more sense now as everything's starting to come together and you're seeing the development work that's going along with the art and the sculpting and the material refresh. But we have the brand. I don't know why you keep coming back to me, Tony. You just go to the next slide. Like I'm just moving my hands like a madman over here. It's not a language. It's just my weird Italian roots, I guess, or something. I don't know. Like there's a reason that I have to talk with my hands, and if I can't do it, I can't talk.
For the record. The same way. I got a flail.
Yeah, it's just a
Literally
thing. You
all
just got to
four of
flail.
us.
I don't know. It's there. So hard plastic, brand new, resculpted, done by one Kevin Kirkus. Right?
Yeah,
Like you
it
do all
was.
the troopers,
It
but you've
was.
already surprised
Yeah,
me
yeah.
once.
Only the one time, though.
Only the one time.
a
So you'll
surprise
notice
this morning.
here that this brand new unit comes with 11 miniatures. Obviously, this represents the fact that the new resculpt is going to provide you the option for the min unit or the max unit right out of the box. There's 2 heavy weapon options in it. Obviously, slightly different from the original Stormtrooper unit that you see. But we're very excited to have these Stormtroopers in hard plastic. I know the material change makes a huge difference in terms of the detailing you're able to get out. If you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so particularly in areas like their asymmetrical knee joint apparatus. I don't know.
Sure.
I don't know the
Padding?
technical imperial term for their knee pads. It's definitely one knee pad and one sort of knee
Tactile
brace.
pouching?
Oh,
Right, yeah.
I've never noticed that was different.
Oh, yeah.
Now I
it,
cannot
It
unsee
absolutely is, and I have
Kevin's
this-
intimately familiar with that.
Wow.
I am. Yeah, and it's interesting, right? Because some things you'll see in a bit, and the difference between these, there's a very clear through line, both narratively and in their function. But you are trying to represent different things, right? So these are very much like soldiers, and you want their poses to represent that they are tactical guys on a battlefield listening to the direct orders of their superior, right? And you try to make that come across in their posing. Like none of them should look overtly heroic or anything like that, right?
Or in a rush,
Yeah,
necessarily.
exactly, because they're
methodical.
implacable. They're advancing, and they know that they're going to get there.
And we're going to pair that next to the other fundamental core unit or foundational core unit for the Rebel Troopers and the game in general, because of course these were the first 2 units to come out in that original core set. The Rebel Troopers, now done in glorious hard plastic. Of course, you're going to see that once again you get the maximum unit allotment out of this product. And the other thing that you get is a ton of heads.
So many heads.
So many heads.
14, I believe. 14. You got 6 humans and 8 interesting things.
8 interesting things, which includes all of the different kind of alien species that you see on here. I don't think we're
believe
missing
it's-
any, right? It is.
You got. Yeah, it's everything.
Mon
everything's
Cal,
represented.
Duros, and
Yep.
Twi'lek.
That's right.
And part of that was based on the anatomy, right? So we did talk about doing Rhodians, but they have different hands.
Right. So you want to
we-
try and be somewhat respectful,
Correct.
obviously,
Yes.
of the fact that you don't want to have 5 million hands with your 5 million heads. And so we chose alien races that made sense for that, right?
Yeah, that
So you got the
effectively have all
Duros.
the same humanoid
Right,
characteristics.
Yeah.
Okay, and then obviously brand new rules card dropped with the changes that make them way more dodgy and kind of the objective grabbers of Rebels. Let's go to the evolution of the ARF troopers for the Imperial Army, which is the Scout troopers. I love the way this is like. I
sniper's so
don't
good.
even play
All of
Empire,
this is so
but I will get this unit just to paint because I think this unit is dope. Speaking of which, I'm gonna have to talk to you about special operations.
For some scout troopers?
Yeah.
All right.
Fantastic. Yeah.
I'm sure we can make that happen.
This one was a lot of fun to do. Yeah.
Just so my painted minis won't just sit on the shelf. They'll have a
Sure.
they'll have a use.
We can do it.
So I don't think I could bet myself to playing Empire full time. Anyway,
That's what Dursum's for.
that's right. That's why he's here. Yeah, just a glorious unit in all the paint. The hard plastic detailing makes such a difference on all of this armor.
Yeah.
You know, the crisper lines, the higher detail. It's incredible to just see the difference, I think.
And you get a cool backpack. Like it's like a satchel pack.
It's filled with explosives.
Yeah,
It could be.
that's the
It could be
saboteur.
anything. What if it just had milk?
Are you calling the pack that's clearly hanging off of his shoulder a backpack?
Yes.
Well, yeah.
Okay,
It's
just
near.
checking.
It's near his back.
It's a satchel.
I corrected a satchel. It's a milk satchel.
I didn't like it.
Fair enough.
Kevin takes offense. Kevin
giving
takes
us a keep it
offense to
going.
that.
Keep it
You
going.
can't, Tony. We got 30 minutes. You can't stop us.
He literally can stop
And
us.
then, of
just for the
course,
record.
We'll drag every mistake into the light.
We'll jump. We'll jump to the parallel of this on the Rebel side, to the Rebel Commandos.
See, his is open. There's no milk in there.
That's true. It's slightly different. Once again, a number of different head options that you can outfit your commandos in various
Correct.
ways.
Another cool thing is that the heads that you'll get in here are slightly different and completely interchangeable with the heads that were in the troopers previously. And another note is we messed around with this the other night because we were curious, and with just like the slightest touch, the gentlest
a
amount
little
of
kiss
hobby,
of the hobby knife.
the gentlest amount of hobby.
Flick of a hobby blade.
They all are also interchangeable with the saboteurs, and then the saboteurs onto these guys as well.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. So plenty of customization options for folks who want to really
Absolutely.
diversify their Rebel troopers.
which makes sense for the rebels, right?
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
if the scout troopers the unit you want to paint, I think this is the one that I want to paint because I'm working on my Ewok army, and I wasn't going to include commandos, but I think now I am just because I want to airbrush the camo on those trench coats.
It's a really cool stuff. And of course, we're showing a lot as the movement to move soft plastic to hard plastic. One of the things is that so much of the Clone Wars era stuff, the Galactic Republic and the Separatist Alliance, was done in hard plastic, right? So many of the resculpts that are initially coming out are based around the oldest sculpts, which of course are those two factions. But don't worry, even though we're going to go through a few more not Clone Wars era things, we are going to have some pretty exciting Clone Wars stuff to show. So stick with us. Don't revolt yet. We're not done.
We're working on it.
We got 30 minutes. We just got a lot
We're
to
fine
show.
here. How are you?
That's right. But I know, even though I can't see the chat, I know the questions are coming. I can feel it in my bones. So let's jump to the next one. We've shown several of these characters at various stages, but here they are, all of the heroes of the rebellion redone in hard plastic, so that players can immediately update all of the iconic original trilogy characters. You'll notice that Commander Luke Skywalker has a brand new look. He's no longer in what I like to call his Cloud City PJs. He's actually in his ceremonial yellow jacket. Matches the art, so eagle-eyed folks who saw that the updated Luke Skywalker Commander card had that look going on. We had a lot of discussions with what we wanted Luke to wear. We talked about the flight suit. The flight suit doesn't really make sense because if he's leading on the battlefield, he's not going to necessarily just have hopped out of his snow speeder or his X-Wing. And where we went was there was a Marvel Comics Star Wars run that basically encompassed the time period between New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, and that was the look that they chose for him, and so we really gravitated towards that and liked it, thought it fit really well with the overall aesthetic of Legion, and was pretty striking and definitely offered some cool paint opportunities. So we did that. I believe, Kevin, he has some options.
I believe I'll take your word for it.
Okay. I know at one point we discussed the option to not have the blaster pistol in his hand. So if you don't want him to be dual wielding, you can choose. I think you can still choose to do that, but I don't know because I haven't seen the final thing. I don't know, but it's the thing. But otherwise, just all of the characters now gloriously redone in hard plastic.
I love that Han so much.
Looks so good.
It's so good.
Everything came out really great. And what are heroes without villains to oppose them? So of course, we had to go back, resculpt Darth Vader into hard plastic, and we have a brand new General Veers to go alongside of him.
I love the menacing pose on that Darth Vader, right?
Yeah.
He's like, I don't care.
Yep.
Yeah, it was fun to get to
you?
do one that's not action oriented, right?
Yeah,
he's
he-
just surveying things.
You can definitely tell he's like on his like rocky precipice, watching the battle unfold, and he's kind of getting a little angry. He's like, well, he knows he's gonna have to go in there and do it himself.
That's that little.
right. That's the fist.
the clenched fist.
I look at that pose and all I see is just the swath of like defeated. I can't say dead, but defeated
Just
rebels
Go on.
all behind him. Quiet, Kevin.
Go
quiet.
off. Go off.
I said I can't say that. That's what I see. Like he's just mowed down the entire force, and now he's like, well, that was boring, but here we are, right?
Yeah,
like it's
sure.
just
I love
barely
it, I
worth
know.
the coffee in the morning
I love it.
to get through this.
I really like this Veers too, right? You can just imagine him,
That one.
leading the assault with a bunch of snowtroopers and saying,
There's a-
directing fire for the.
I've
AT-ATs.
seen some of the photography that our amazing photographer Matt Furbisher has been doing, and when you see that pose with like 3 ATSTs behind him,
Oh, it's so good.
it's like it fits. It looks
so good.
It looks like he's doing that direct vehicle unit. It's very cool. Okay, and then let's bounce to the next. So we talked a lot about Galactic Republic during the new battle orders panel, the changes to that unit and their core units, and of course saying that Phase 1s, Phase 2s no longer exist. So we did take the opportunity to resculpt the Clone Trooper Infantry. One of the really neat things about this, besides the fact that they are updated sculpts, so they do have some improved detailing based on the understanding and growth that we have in experience with hard plastic. They are all Kevin Kirkus specials. So he put a lot of love and effort into that. They also are going to come with either Phase 1 or Phase 2 helmets, as
so
well as
it's-
several unhelmeted options.
Yep. I think basically any hairstyle that you could want between military tight and bald.
So many options.
No shag in the Galactic Republic.
Absolutely not. It's against regulation.
And so that'll allow players as they, expand or start their Galactic Republic armies to determine, do I want to have a mix of Phase 1s, Phase 2s? Do I want to just go all Phase 1? Do I want to go all Phase 2 helmets? And have that, whatever their heart desires from the narrative of their force. And we're only showing the 7 here, but this, of course, will come with the 11, just like all the other units, so that you can play either the min-sized unit or the full-sized unit. But these are still being finalized at this point. So we're just kind of showing what's there in its approved form. Okay, I think we can end now. I think we're done, right? There's more stuff to show, but I feel like you're just not ready.
I mean, it's like
Tony's ready.
What more can we show, right? For the longest time, people wanted Clone Commandos. We made Clone
true.
Commandos, and then they wanted Crab Droids, and we did that. And then it was
true.
make the E-Web Range 4, and that happened yesterday.
It
So
did.
it's like,
It did.
I don't know. I think it's
If we
what
go
else could we
through
do?
if we go through our online wish portal
Yeah,
and we look at like they're all checked off, right?
they're all checked off.
We made an Ahsoka Tano that has rebel only
Yeah.
command cards.
Yeah,
So
we're good.
that change was basically meaningless because it's not like we would actually make an Ahsoka Tano for Galactic Republic.
Yeah.
Why would you bother?
But the
Not
show
wrong.
must go on.
But the show must go on. So, of course, teased many, many years ago, finally, we are at a point where we are now showing off Commander Ahsoka Tano for Galactic Republic. She will be in the 501st Battle Force. She will pair very well with Anakin Skywalker. She will hopefully fill all of the long-awaited desires for the Galactic Republic players out there who have been waiting for this character. And we're very excited to finally be bringing this character out. She had some delays and some pushes, and it took a little while, but we are there. So because you were also patient, because you were also wonderful, you're not just getting one Ahsoka Tano, you're getting 2.
Both for the Galactic Republic.
Both for the Galactic Republic. So she's going to come in 2 flavors, Commander and Padawan. The Commander, obviously, is a commander.
Yeah.
And the Padawan is an option for when you just want her on the field to see things going on. We're not going to spoil exactly how it works yet.
Yeah, but I will say that I think this is actually something where her coming out when she is really cool, because if she had come out earlier, we wouldn't have been able to do that.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's really exciting that you get to play her in 2 kind of different ways.
Yeah, so obviously we're showing the finalized sculpts. You're probably going to get to see her in her glorious painted versions at the start of next year, and then she'll be releasing alongside all of the other stuff that we've shown probably around this time of next year.
And there's a timeline at the end of the
And
show,
there is a
so
timeline at the end, just
you
like
can get out
always,
there.
that you can clip and you can see what quarter things are expected. Obviously, everything is kind of TBD because things can shift based on logistics and the global shipping and all that, but we try to aim as close as possible to where we expect these things to come. But going to be a very exciting year for Galactic Republic, not just because of Ahsoka, but also we did reference the fact that even though Galactic Republic has moved to the one very versatile clone infantry unit, there is a secondary clone core option that's going to be coming, and that is the Clone Trooper Marksman. So folks asking, what happened to the DC-15 upgrade?
Yeah.
Here it is.
Well, there's a whole unit of them now, yeah.
Take them all.
And if you want to talk a little bit about the design ideas behind this and why that split was done and now what Clone Trooper Marksmen kind of pair with the infantry, without giving too many spoilers, please take it away.
Yeah, so as we discussed yesterday, right, like we want the clones to reflect kind of this faction identity of they're the best of the best and they have the access to the best training and the best equipment. And so that's represented by the new squad leader upgrades, but we still wanted to have, the units be a little specialized in what they did. So you've got the Clone Trooper Infantry, which is kind of all around short range. These guys are going to be much more, like stay back, long range, support the army that way.
Similar
maybe be
to
a little
the
bit slower.
veterans or the
Yeah,
short
to the
troopers.
veterans, yeah. They've got some of the old, Clone Trooper heavy weapons with the RPS-6 and the mortar. So they're more about, supporting the infantry as they advance up the field with long-range fire.
Long range.
Long-range fire.
Look at those right. They are long rifles.
It's in the
So
name.
zero
Yeah.
question. Kevin, you also were the person behind this, right?
I'm starting to feel a little guilty now, but yes, I was.
Well, see what happens. So the interesting thing that happens, right, is that we go in and we say, hey, we need these clones to be sculpted, and you sculpt one, and then it's like,
Sure.
but we need 500 more.
That's right.
And they're clones. So what are you going to do? Are you going to go to someone else to make the clone of the clone?
No, why would you do that?
No, you're just going to go to the same person who made the first clone so that they look like clones, right? So
enough,
really,
fair
it wasn't your hubris that brought this on you. It was just unfortunate circumstance maybe that for
It's
right
been a
now.
pleasure. It's been a pleasure to
I know.
run the VATs in Camino.
Yeah, exactly. You are our Caminoan effectively.
And worth
just
mentioning head options, right?
making stuff. Yes, so you will get the phase 1, phase 2 heads. Anything else special? Bare heads.
Yeah, all the bear
Military
head options
cut,
from the
bald.
first guy. Yep.
I really like how none of them are crouching, right? Kind of lends to that implacable nature of the clones.
Sure.
seen in
Well,
the show.
yeah, and to differentiate them from the stormtroopers, I hope you sort of get more of a sense of heroism from these guys. Well, so obviously these guys are distinct from the close combat or close range guys from the fact that the close range guys are charging forward. These guys are leaning back and taking in what's going on to support those guys. But you still see the heroism in that, I think. So you've got the leader doing sort of his best Captain Morgan and heroically pointing forward, that sort of thing, as opposed to and then taking even further back, as opposed to your stormtrooper sergeant who's just got the strong hold
fist
pose,
up, yeah.
right? Right.
They seem a little more chest out, I guess.
Yeah, well, and
Right.
because I kind of see the stormtroopers are all as soldiers, and then to a certain extent, obviously the clones are known as consummate soldiers, but I would almost think of them more as every soldier, every clone's a hero, and their individuality is obviously very important to them because even under their helmets they look the same,
Right.
and so all of them are trying to make themselves stand out, right? Yeah.
Very cool. Moving forward, we do have some very cool stuff that's going to be coming for the Empire, which is Imperial probe droids. Yeah, we all had to do our best Imperial probe droid impression based on the.
No, you didn't.
We did. We did. Just
did,
because
Kevin.
you backed out of the deal.
You can't
Kevin.
stop us.
Just because you backed out of the deal doesn't change anything. So a unit that we're very excited to finally be working on, bringing into the game. Obviously, one of the most iconic droid types, I think, from Star Wars. Everyone kind of recognizes this whole weird spindly armed look. And surprisingly, well, it is, I think, one of the more recognizable droid types from Star Wars, just based on its appearance in Episode 5. Try to figure out how big it is way harder than it ever should have been.
That is accurate.
We were to the point that we were drawing measurements from old reference photography and then comparing it to other props. We used some set dressing from Galaxy's Edge because there's a probe droid head there.
It's always awkward, right? Because the photography flattens everything.
Yes.
So you see it and you're convinced that you've lined it up properly to be the proper scale. but then you put it next to like whatever, for the sake of exaggeration, you put it up next to a lightsaber hilt, and in one it's like half the size, and in the other it's like a tenth of the size. Right? You're like, what happened here?
So an incredible amount of effort into something that it felt like was going to be a really easy knock out of the park kind of job. Not to necessarily get the detailing right, although it does have some really unique, specific details around the cowling and how the eyes are positioned and stuff that we did learn. But just trying to get it the scale appropriate. Like, what is the scale of a probe droid? We now are intimately familiar with how that works, and it'll be very fun when people get to take a look at that and see these miniatures as we move forward into next year. We have one more, I think, probably exciting reveal if you happen to be an Empire player. We talked a lot, or at least a bit, in the new Battle Orders panel about how moving the game from 800 to 1,000 points, doing some of the adjustments that we did, one of the big goals was to allow players to play with more characters, to get more characters into Legion. Not to move the focus away from the idea that it is an army game, that the units are very important, but to allow players to have some of these more of these iconic members, cast of the Star Wars, people that they identify with on the table. So, the Imperial High Command, these are going to be brought to you in glorious hard plastic. We have a brand new Grand Admiral Thrawn. We have a hard plastic resculpted Director Krennic doing his best. We were this close to greatness. We have a ponderous Grand Moff Tarkin, and of course we have General Tog. All brand new commander operatives coming. Well, 3 brand new commander operatives, 1 glorious brand new material coming for Imperial players to be able to use in their armies. These guys are a bit further out than next year. We're kind of moved into stuff that's going to be coming out more in 2026. Yes, I have to remember my years because we work so far ahead. I can never get it right. But we did want to kind of give you a reveal as to the future plans. Obviously, part of this more advanced look is because so much of our effort has been devoted into not just creating new things like the ARF Troopers and the Crab Droids, but also in this big rebalance update to the core game itself that we revealed on Monday, and we'll continue to work on as we move forward. Don't show me that 10 sign, Tony. I'm almost done.
Literally his only job.
No, his job is to push the buttons, which he has not done very well this morning, just to be clear.
Tony, I appreciate
just to
you.
Be clear.
You're doing great. Don't listen to him.
You hit the space bar, Tony. That's all you got to do. It's a space bar.
You're doing great, Tony.
I could have one of those drinky birds do this for me if I really wanted to at this point, all right? A little professionalism, sir. I love you, Tony. I do. I really do.
You're doing great, Tony.
Don't make the producer part of the show.
Don't listen to him.
No, that's my favorite part is that he really hates being part of the show. So for as long as I've worked with Tony, which has been like 12 years now, he always becomes part of the show. Because he's very good-natured and he has an incredible speaking voice. He won't do it now because he doesn't have a mic. But you got to bring Tony in. Okay. So we're moving even further forward, back to the action. We're going to be driving into things that we don't even have sculpts for, but we do have some really cool art. This is, I think, one of the developments that I'm most excited for, which is characters riding things.
Yep.
Specifically vehicles.
An amazing evolution of the far future past.
Exactly. Mounted characters. Well, we see it obviously happen throughout the different media and stuff, but in a miniatures war game, there's something about it. There's something about it that's just so amazing. So Grievous on the wheel bike, tearing things up, living his best like chopper dreams. I can't wait until we have sculpts to show you for this. This is gonna be so exciting. But here's some gorgeous art done by Preston Stone to give you an idea of the epicness that's coming if you're a Separatist Alliance player. And then one of my personal childhood things, I was a huge fan of the Super Star Wars series of video games. Mm-hmm. And folks who played it might remember that in that game, well, one, they expanded everything. Like, there's a lot of crazy stuff in that game. But the thing that always stuck with me was the fact that as Luke Skywalker, you could ride the Tauntaun and smack things with your lightsaber. And I was like, this is amazing. And so, like, this next one, it really speaks to me because we're finally going to have the opportunity to have Luke Skywalker and Han Solo mounted on Tauntauns. And Luke Skywalker will be able to smack things with his lightsaber, as a Jedi Knight truly should.
It's going to be great.
Truly should.
And this is possible because of the hard plastic resculpt of Tauntauns,
Correct.
right?
Yeah. So obviously the sculpting and engineering team, Tauntauns were one of those items that were done in soft plastic, so we were redoing them in hard plastic, and the conversation became, well, if we're already going halfway,
You may
what
as
if
well.
we went all the way and got these characters onto their tauntauns? Of course, it's going to be a big boon to Echo-based defenders, just adding more flavor and narrative and options to that battle force. But in general, all of the different Rebel Alliance armies that are out there, I think will really enjoy these characters and the mobility that's coming. And we have ideas and opportunities to continue to expand this idea of characters riding different things.
Yep.
So even though this is kind of our last one for the
whole new
day,
world.
for the roadmap, don't worry if you didn't see somebody mounted on something. You'll probably get your opportunity. Maybe we'll be showing that at the next roadmap. Maybe it'll be a bit further down. But there's so many cool things that we have in the works now for Legion that are going to be built off the back of these big updates that we've done. Here's the timeline for everyone. So note that the updated faction card packs will be coming out in Q3 of 2025. That's going to take all of the cards, update them to the new design in print for those who want it. If you just want to print and play the cards, they're available right now. You can do that. You're going to have to do that up until we can finally get these printed out. And they are going to have some additional updates as well as just moving all of the cards, even the ones that don't have rules changes, into that. The other big thing about those updated faction card packs is it's going to introduce new upgrade non-faction specific upgrade card packs, and of course the battle deck packs, so that players will be able to, whether they're new or existing, at any point go in and get all of the upgrades that they would need that are not tied to specific units or factions.
And battle cards and all that stuff.
And yeah, everything else that is on there, you can see it all in glorious fashion. This one doesn't have the non-exhaustive tag, but it should, because it is definitely non-exhaustive. We have many other cool things to show when the time comes and it is right for us to reveal those. Maybe at the Adepticon 2025 roadmap, as is the way that we do these things. You'll see that, but hopefully you are very excited as we are for everything that's coming out. Be sure to stick with us, as Dallas Kemp is going to be painting the Riot Control Squad next, so if you want to see how those finalized hard plastic minis look, get some ideas for painting them, bop some things with your booper stick, you're ready to go. Gentlemen, any closing words before we leave? Tony hasn't put up the stop sign yet, so we can go until that happens.
I'm just really excited for the future of Legion.
Yeah.
I got all sorts of cool stuff, but if I start talking about it, it's going to become a problem, so I'm not going to.
Fair enough.
We will
fair
get hit
enough.
with the bopper sticks.
It's true.
Kevin, this is like your one panel, right? So we can put you back to work?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I've got some things I need you to work on right after this. We'll talk about
writing
it.
stuff.
Some things fly in the air. Zoom, zoom.
Writing stuff or writing stuff?
Maybe both.
Probably not writing.
I've never seen you write. I would love to see you write. Tony at some point is going to end this stream as we just ramble
No,
on.
he won't.
Wow!
He's
Wow!
gonna
Wow!
keep going.
Wow!
This is how
Tony's
passive
sassy.
aggressively gets
I know.
back at you.
He's got
Now
the sass
we have
today.
to
We
fill
did it.
time.
We did it.
This is your fault.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. Be sure to stay tuned for the Riot Control Squad, and of course, we'll be back with more stuff. Saturday, you're not going to want to miss the Theaters of War War Table. We're going to be showing off some very cool new ways to play Legion. Some updates to special operations, as well as we're going to talk about some of the changes that the updated rules that we showed off on Thursday have on Legion Skirmish. But of course, you already have those documents. We're just going to talk about some of the design and philosophy behind those. And we're also going to have some brand new ways to interact and engage with Legion that change some of the mission parameters and things like that. Because updating is not enough. We also got to add some new things.
Gotta add the spice.
Yeah, that's right. Optional spice.
Optional
it's like
spice,
when you like when you go to a restaurant and they give you that spice rack. They're like, you make it as tasty as you want, as spicy as you want. So that's what's going to happen on Saturday. Be sure to tune in for that. Thanks so much for joining us. Till next time. Bye.
Goodbye.
Oh boy. So, guys, I just want to say, WTF to not giving us Gungan previews. Come on. We're also gonna announce some winners to some giveaways. Maybe we'll do another one. We are doing some giveaways. What were we giving away? We're giving away engineering captains. For Star Wars Armada, some promo cards. So let's go ahead and do that. Wow, something just fell and hit me. Okay. While I do all of this stuff, I want to hear your hot takes for the entire thing in the chat below. I see the Kaz says, "Rip Gungans." I think he means Gungans. Yeah. Look, we know the Gungans are coming. They were featured all over the art yesterday, and they're in the new rule book. There's art of Gungans in there, so clearly it's being worked on. They either want to do more with it before they reveal it, or want to save it for Adepticon, or something went wrong and it's just not ready yet. But there were a lot of really cool things. I have got some big takeaways, and while I'm still trepidatious about the new edition of Legion and how it's going to play and feel, I'm also feeling more optimistic after some of the stuff like Thrawn, for crying out loud. So I'm going to load up some graphics, and we're going to announce some giveaway winners for the engineering captain, and then I'll figure out what we're going to do. Ooh, we're going to do some... Oh, I know. I've got a Legion giveaway we're going to do also. So stick around. We're going to do a Legion giveaway. This is wild. This is wild. Very much wild. All right. We're going to do that, and we're going to pull all these pictures in. Yes. All right. So we're going to go through all this stuff. All right. So first thing I want to do is announce the giveaway winners from earlier. So it's going to be, for the 2 engineering captain cards, it's going to be Casey J. Bennett and Water Nogus. Congratulations, Casey J. Bennett and Water Nogus. Go ahead and shoot me an email at mailcrabbok@gmail.com. Let me know what you've won, because we're doing giveaways all weekend. And I also need your shipping address. I got a lot of emails from people that I need your shipping address so I can send these out to you. I'm trying to get stuff out soon. A lot of times I only take a trip to the post office like once every week or so, or once every 2 weeks. And so I don't want you to have to wait that long. I'm trying to get these out this weekend. So the quicker I get your shipping address, the quicker I can get this to ya. All right. Now, we're also going to do a double-sided promo for Star Wars Legion. So if you are still here with us and you would like to have a chance to win, it's going to be a DC-15 on one side. It's going to be an E5C1 on the other. And this one's going to go in Discord. So you'll have to go into the Discord. You'll join our Discord. Make sure you go into the Roles channel. Make sure you have whatever games you're interested in, but also general access, because there's going to be a giveaways channel you have to have general access for. It's all the general, and we have all of this stuff. And the reason is, first, there's botters, there's bots, there's spam bots and stuff like that. So when you join the Discord, you don't have posting, or you don't have rights to every channel right away. You have to go and react to get your roles. So make sure you get your general role access. We'll get you a double-sided card. That's going to go up here shortly. So, yeah. What in the world is that? Oh, that's kind of cool. Okay. Let's talk about the Legion roadmap. Rebel Sleeper Cell. So these guys are a special forces with 6, a big unit of special forces. 70 points, potentially more than that. They have this marksman that does I don't know, like I have this weird thing. Like these guys are supposed to be kind of partners with the Riot Control Squad, but these are a core and these are special forces, so that's weird. I don't know. Like, there's something about these guys that just kind of strike me as a little boring. I don't know. Not that crazy about them. Nimble, Scout 2, Tactical 1. I mean, I guess. Just, range 1 to 2 pistol. I don't know. There's this whole, like, this guy can take an action to just shoot somebody, and I guess you can do that with an attack action. It's just weird. I'm not that crazy about these guys. They just seem kind of okay. It's just like an excuse to get more dudes on the map, I guess. I mean, the costumes look kind of cool, but I feel like that's kind of how Rebel Troopers should have looked all along. Kind of, sort of. Now, these guys are cooler looking to me. It's a new core. They have Charge, which I really like. And then they have Hold the Line, which is also really cool. And I like that as well. They have the K2SO, the K series. You get 2 of those for 1 miniature. So they're already they only cap out at a 4. But you can add 2 heavies, so you can add this marksman who's also got that whole action of, like, I'm going to do an action and, basically attack somebody. It's like, it's just so weird, because, like, they wanted to give you a set, like, he can shoot with the unit, I guess, but then also do that. Weird. But having 2 K2s is nice. But just they're just stronger in melee. But I mean, they're still adding the basic die. They're better in melee. They want to be in melee. I get it. You got a melee stormtrooper. That's cool. That's cool. And charge is nice. I like anything that gives you free actions. I think that's pretty cool. I think all of that is very cool. All right. Some new art. Oh, by the way, like these guys are in the old art style, and these guys are in the new art style. So, okay, that's fine. I guess they didn't know when they were going to have all the new stuff ready. So, the crab droids. One of the things they made clear in this one that I wasn't aware of already is that all the upgrade cards are in full card art style. So they say LCG size, but basically all the cards are now exactly the same size. Not really a huge deal, but like, look, Star Wars Armada did this same thing, and it was a pain in the ass. It really was. So I don't usually curse on my thing, so I shouldn't have said that. But it was a real pain because now, like, anybody who sleeves any kind of storage system you have to completely redo all of it. Like all your little cards. Like, are you gonna take your pages and be like, oh well, hold on, I've got to mix and match, and I got to get custom pages so the little ones and the big one, or insert new pages into each one. It's just a logistical nightmare, and this is a first world problem. It doesn't matter. I could just throw them all in a box and be done with it, and that's probably what I'll do. So it's not really a big deal, but it's just a pet peeve of mine when they change card sizes in the middle. Again, but this is not a new edition. Of course it is. He changes everything. But yeah. Well, it says too much table space for all the cards. In this case, I don't think it's going to take up that much table space because since they have no art on them, which I don't like, but you can just slide them underneath the card and just have that little bottom part sticking out, and then that should be fine for a little bit. I mean, you can do that for like 2 upgrades. You won't be able to do that for everything, or you can kind of, if you have a whole lot of upgrades, you can kind of probably like stack them over each other and kind of collate them or whatever. So you'll be able to do that. The Aqua Droids are now a heavy, kind of like Dark Troopers, so that's interesting. And this whole notched base movement system got changed too, where it sounds like in the rules you can have them kind of touching any point of the movement tool. It doesn't have to, like, it starts from the notch, but they can end anywhere, which is interesting to me. I wonder what their facing has to be. I gotta go read more of the rules because there's a whole lot of questions I have. ARF Troopers with the generic Jedi is going to have multiple lightsaber options, which looks really cool. All the new core units are going to come with the 11 miniatures now instead of 7, so you can get that maximum amount in one box. Whew, which is a lot. Which also means they're going to be expensive. You thought like, the box is going to be... This is probably going to be at least a $50 box. At least a $50 box. I don't think they're going to give you 11 brand new miniatures with the inflation that we've got. I'm guessing $49.99, plus tax. That's my guess for MSRP for this many. Which is, I mean, and I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that's just something to brace yourself for. Kind of cool thing though is, I'll probably buy one of these, and then I've got enough old stormtroopers to, put together massive amounts of stormtroopers. The Rebel Troopers, same thing. You're getting the maximum amount here. You're getting a lot of heads, plural, in this box. A lot of alien heads. A lot of really cool options here. This is gonna be fun. It's gonna be very, very fun, I think. But yes, what factions do you guys play, by the way? They didn't show like a new B1s or anything like that, but they showed new clones. I'm curious if they're redoing any of the droids. I think a lot of people don't want to build B1s, and I think the B1s were just fine as is, but Separatists, CIS players, all right. Scout Troopers look really good, except for the guy in the top left, who looks really fancy. Like he's trying to, I don't know what he's doing. I don't know why he's walking like this. Like why he's walking with his arm out. Like, I don't know why the guy in the top left is doing that. He just looks weird. It may just be a weird angle, but everybody else looks great. This is a must-buy expansion as far as I'm concerned. I only ever bought 2 Scout Trooper expansions and Rebel Commando expansions. So I've never run Triple Sniper. Never. Even when it was like in every list and it was the meta. And I know they're going to run to like 6 sniper now or something like that. But yeah, I've never run triple snipe. So I've got room in my collection for one of these boxes and one of these boxes as well. These look good. My only issue with the overall design philosophy for these is that the Rebel Commandos looks very, very cool. It was Han's strike team. But if we go back to the Rebel Troopers, these guys are still painted in that green camouflage to look kind of like Endor. Again, that's a lot of the theme for Star Wars Legion is that whole Endor for that first couple of waves. And I just didn't like the idea of Rebel Troopers being Endor based. Now, granted, you don't have to paint them green. You can probably paint them however you want. And I definitely will. I will definitely not paint these guys with green, but these guys absolutely appropriate for green, so I may do that. Okay, this is also a weird thing. You're getting all of these characters in one box, which is weird to me because this almost screams like we're not getting a new starter, right? It almost, or we are getting a new starter. And it's going to strictly be a Clone Wars starter, or maybe we're getting a Gungan starter, right? So. If this is a whole box, I don't think we're getting a Rebel starter. But this is a good way to do it so you can refresh a lot of stuff in one box. This is smart to me. 5 characters in one box. That's 5 SKUs that guys that stores don't have to have on their shelf. Another Endor Han, give us a New Hope. Because it's that same Han. It's a refresh of the same one. I think if they do a New Hope Han, he'll be operative. I think if you do Scoundrel Han Solo, he'll be an operative. And I think they will definitely do that. But this represents General Han Solo, the commander. I think if you get the Captain of the Millennium Falcon, the kind of Episode 4 Scoundrel Han Solo, that's your operative right there. And I think he would work very different. Or maybe even Solo a Star Wars story era Han Solo. I think there's room for that, or some kind of hybrid between the two. Same thing with Leia. I think you can do a different version of Leia. Just give her a different version altogether. Not Endor Leia, but maybe maybe Princess Episode 4 Leia, or maybe Hoth Leia, or something like that. But what's weird to me is that they're doing 5 characters in this box, but here it's only 2 in this box. I don't like that. I think they should have done better. It might be that they're also going to do operative Vader in here, and maybe you're going to get multiple Vader sculpts, and they just weren't all ready yet. But, like, why do a 5-character box and a 2-character box side by side when you really could do much better than that? I mean, like, I think if you look at the launches, right, you had Luke in the core box, you have Vader in the core box. You had Leia as the first extra commander expansion. You have Veers as the first extra commander expansion. You had operative Luke, so you should, in theory, have operative Vader. Maybe he wasn't ready yet. But then you've got Han and Chewie that came out in different waves. But Han came out, I think, alongside Boba Fett, who's not Imperial anymore, so maybe it just didn't match. And then Chewie, I don't remember who Chewie came out alongside. But you had Han, Chewie, and then Boba Fett and someone else for the Empire. So you had kind of like symmetrical releases. Yeah, it is. Well, the 4-man box of Imperial Commander, we're going to get to that. That looks cool too. But that's a separate thing. I think they'll probably do a Bounty Hunters box to refresh like Boba Fett, Cad Bane, and stuff like that. Bosk, and maybe introduce one new Bounty Hunter. That'd be kind of cool. And actually, it could be that maybe they're introducing something new in this box that they just weren't ready to reveal yet. Maybe like a different version of General Veers. Or something like that. I don't know. You know, that can become Beach Party Vader. I would love it. All right, so Clone Troopers are also getting a refresh. I don't think they need it because I think they're already, well, a lot. No, your Phase 1s are still soft plastic, but they were really good soft plastic. I don't mind. I might check them out. The Phase 2s were already hard plastic though. And then you're getting Ahsoka Tano. Now this one has been asked for forever. It's definitely on my list of Holy Grail things that need to come to the game. On that list of Holy Grail things that I want are we're Ahsoka Tano having both an operative and a commander, and boom, we're getting both an operative and a commander. This is so smart. It's brilliant, and it's very well done. You've got little snips right here, and then you have Commander Tano. You know, I love it. Yes, Commander. All right, we're gonna go paint the 332nd in honor of you. You know, something like that. trying to do my clone impression. I don't know. It's probably terrible. Yeah. So this is a good thing that needs to happen. Now, since this is a thing that came out, there's very few things that I still have on my Mount Rushmore of things that need to come out for Star Wars Legion. The Ghost Crew, AT-ATs, Gungans, and Qui-Gon Jinn, I think, are like, you know, I mean, Mace Windu still needs to come. I don't have to have him on there because I think he's definitely coming. But yeah, we'll see. So this is going to be cool. They didn't tell us anything about it, really, other than we're getting 2 versions in 1 pack. I want to see more. Oh, Durg. A lot of people want Durg. I respect the hustle. You got to get him, got to push for him to get him in there. Definitely. He's not on my list, but I'll be happy for you guys when he arrives. Another new core option, I believe they said this was a core option with as many miniatures as is here, it kind of seems like it has to be, is Clone Marksman. And this is going to be your snipers, your DC-15s. This is probably going to be a range 4 unit, I'm guessing. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. If you like to paint clones, man, you definitely have a lot for you here. Durg mounted and dismounted. Oh, let's get to that. That was something I used to have on my Mount Rushmore that I forgot I had on my Mount Rushmore is mounted commanders. Imperial probe droids. We've been asking for this for so long. I think we forgot that we were asking for this. This is great. This is great. They look very small and clear flight stands, for crying out loud. That's so cool. That's so cool. The Imperial High Command character expansion. I'm blown away by this because this is deep into my wish list. Of course, I wanted Thrawn, Tarkin, and Mahdi. Or is that, no, that's Tag, right? That's Tag. It's not, Mahdi's not here. General Tag is here. And Tag is more appropriate. Mahdi was a fleet, Tag is ground, and Tag actually survived because he did evacuate the Death Star, and he's in the comics. He actually is in charge of Vader for a little while. So Tag has got some authority. Tag makes a lot of sense in this game. Thrawn makes sense too. Great sculpt for Thrawn, and I like the alternate Krennic. That's fun. This is a great box. I am super hyped about this box. I'm super hyped about getting these characters in my army. It's so cool. And it's also, by the way, these are also really good if you play RPGs and you want more officers and you want named characters and stuff for your Star Wars RPGs. Also very, 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 very cool. Okay. I love it. This has got me really hyped. Really, really hyped. And this. Oh. Fist pump. I just want to, I want to fist pump this so bad. I've wanted this for so long. Mounted commanders. Mounted characters, but mounted command. Years ago, in the days of Fantasy Flight games, making wonderful miniatures games, there was a game called Rune Wars miniatures game that had mounted commanders, and it was so cool. I bet you Grievous is going to come in this, because, frankly, a mounted commander needs the ability to dismount as well. And I think that they'll do something like that. Basically, you deploy him mounted, and you can have him get off. And I think once you get off, you're not getting back on. So it's like a change. It's a transformation that you can do like once per game or whatever. But yeah, dude, I still have my Rune Wars also. I don't play it anymore. I think I may have gotten rid of the cardboard and just kept the miniatures. I'm not sure what's in those boxes. I still have them in the corner. I don't know how long I'm going to hold on to them for, but they're good stuff if we got to do Dungeons and Dragons. There's a lot of skeletons in there, and I painted up, and I was like, I painted all these guys, and it's a lot of work, and I don't want to throw them out. So, yeah, really cool. I have been ignoring chat for a little bit. Sorry, I'm getting lost in all of this stuff. Let's see. Tyler says, hoping for a set with old Obi-Wan, Farm Luke, R2-D2, C-3PO, and a land speeder. Well, you know, I don't think there's much stopping them from just doing alternate sculpts of characters now. Like that other Krennic. We don't need only the one Krennic. We can have 2 Krennics. That's fine. Let's do some alternate art. And they could also do, like, you know how they've done convention exclusives where you get an alternate Vader or you get that new Obi-Wan or the other Luke and things like that. They could do those as just, like, extra print runs. They don't have to only be convention exclusives. But just to be like, hey, this is just a fun little optional buy. You guys want to just buy extra miniatures with no game mechanics, just an alternate miniature, maybe even an alternate art card? Like, put those up, you know? That'd be awesome. And then, of course, Luke and Han on Tauntauns. This is groovy. This is so groovy. This is so, especially for you guys that did not want, Endor Han. There you go. This is another Han. It's a cool Han. I'll see you in hell. I hope he's got new command cards. I hope. Oh my god, I hope he's got an I'll see you in hell command card. That would be so great. Oh, and you know what else? There's another really cool thing about all of this. For the first time, kind of the first time, we're seeing much later, after a Battle Forces introduction, like 2 years later, we're seeing units that are able to come out and say, hey, oh, by the way, this can, like Ahsoka, can go into the 501st. Of course, these guys are going to go into Echo-based defenders. Of course they are. I would say, of course, the probe droid is probably going to go into Blizzard Force. I would wager that would make a lot of sense. It's theoretically possible that it doesn't, but it kind of has to, right? There's other mounted stuff they're gonna do. I mean, I'm sure that means we're gonna get Obi-Wan mounted on one of several types of creatures. He may have multiple mounted options, but I think his Episode 3 mount is definitely one that's gonna come. There's definitely some really cool stuff. All right, let's see. That's everything. No, they did not announce the Gungans. They're obviously coming, but it's young Anakin mounted in a pod racer. Yeah, I don't think we'll get that, but that would be cool. Anakin could be mounted on a bark speeder though, like in Episode 2. They could even do an operative Anakin as he's like still a Padawan, but maybe a Jedi Knight level Anakin, or almost Jedi Knight, like Padawan Anakin Skywalker, mounted on a bark speeder from Episode 2. I could see that. We're going to have to go into a deep dive video about all the mounted options that we can find. There's a lot of really stuff. So Nicholas says, we know Gungans are coming. Yes. Yesterday's preview, they had lots of art in the background while they were previewing the new mechanics and the new battle cards, and one of the art featurettes was an entire Gungan army, including Gungans riding like Cadus and stuff like that. I've got to go find it. We'll talk about it. We'll talk more about it. It's but then they're also in the new rule book. Boba Fett on a Rancor, of course, that would be so good. Yoda could ride just about anything. Yoda riding Luke, I'd like to see that. You guys have some great ideas, really great ideas. Let's see. I can't believe Gungans are coming before sequel armies. Well, I know some of you guys aren't big fans of Gungans, and you won't have to buy. There's plenty of stuff coming for lots of different factions. Sequels, I think, are still a little ways away. I mean, I'm ready for them. I'm ready to see, Kylo Ren show up into games. I think he'd be fun to paint. I think there's a lot of cool stuff from sequels. But I also feel like because the way Disney Plus is going right now, and because of the way the stories are going right now, and in this whole thing with the Mandalorian, and the child, and Grogu, and his DNA, and cloning, and the Bad Batch, every story that's in the Prime timeline, like, outside of Acolyte, every one of these stories is building itself towards Palpatine being cloned. And once they get there, there's going to be a lot more First Order lore explained. A lot more. Once they get there, we're going to learn more about Snoke and where he came from. We're going to learn more about the origins of the First Order, who was in charge. Was Thrawn actually part of the First Order? There's so much there's so much mystery, and frankly, probably stuff just simply unwritten right now, because the sequel trilogy, I think, was thrown at us kind of quickly, and probably could have, and that's fine. You got to get movies out. I understand that, but there's a lot of writing left to do to fill out that storyline. So if you were to release sequel armies right now, they would probably have to get redone multiple times over the next 10 years. So that's just my takeaway. So it's probably safer to focus on the stuff that's more fleshed out right now. Yeah. Resistance wouldn't even have to be an army. Resistance could just be a couple of heroes, and you make a battle force that uses the rebels. Frankly, there's zero reason why you couldn't use rebel troopers, rebel sleeper cell, as your resistance troopers. I don't see hardly any. And you can maybe have a specific resistance like aces as a special forces with that resistance stuff. But yeah, there's not really a much difference between the resistance and the rebels. They're basically identical, just in different time period. So I don't know. I just don't think they need. I just don't think they need it. But we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, so gosh, guys. All right. So if you guys aren't already, make sure you join our Discord. I'm going to go ahead and drop more promos in the giveaways channel. There's also giveaways in there from yesterday and on Patreon and in the latest Battle Foam video. So check that Battle Foam video from last week. We are doing a giveaway in there as well. And the $25 Amazon gift card. You just have to be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. We will be back tonight. There's a stream at 7 p.m. tonight. So it's a late night stream. It's for Shatterpoint. So if you're a Shatterpoint fan, come back later tonight. Or if you're not a Shatterpoint fan and you want to just see what they managed to do, maybe... Look, I'm on the fence with Shatterpoint. I want the miniatures are great, but I'm not a big fan of the gameplay. So I'm especially excited because there's supposed to be new ways to play Shatterpoint unveiled tonight, and I'm hoping that there's a new way that makes Shatterpoint a little bit more like a deathmatch, kind of like the way I want to play it. If not, I will probably. I've been working on my own rule set for Shatterpoint. Just a few small changes that will massively improve the gameplay. If they already do that, then great. If they don't, I'll keep working on my alternate rule set for Shatterpoint. But yeah, that's where we're at right now. So I'll see you guys tonight. I'm gonna go live around 6:30 p.m. Eastern, which would be 3:30 Pacific. But the stream starts at 4 Pacific, which is 7 p.m. Eastern, or 1900 hours for you military time mindset folks. All right, that's gonna do it. I will talk to you guys later. Big thanks to my patrons. You guys are amazing and help make this whole channel possible. If you want to check out Patreon, there's different tiers, and you can get your name in the credits and get Discord roles. And we're gonna start doing like live streams with patrons and stuff like that, doing discussions and podcast type stuff. Working on all of that. I'll talk to you guys later. May the force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. Party on, dudes, and always